Kia ora, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm sitting here with my friend
Asher Derbyshire from Wellington Boxing Gym.
and we hope you enjoy this episode. Good to have you in, brother.
Oh man, it's good to be here.
Yeah, no,
thanks for the invite.
This is awesome. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. You know, someone who's come in, I've done some of the classes. I've actually coached some of the classes as well. I've been around the environment and, you know, the vibe that you set up here. We've had a couple of your fighters on as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to preface quickly, we're in a beautiful Wellington summer's day here. It is absolutely pouring outside, and that's, if you hear that nice ambience in the background, that's what we've got going. So we've got Asher here, and yeah, so you've been like kind enough to have someone, you know, who has no fighting background whatsoever, but because of what you deliver here, you know, it's all about getting a lot of people moving.
Yeah.
So you've had me come in to help with that stuff, and I've got to know you and a lot of the crew.
Yeah.
But just to give everyone a little bit of an insight on, you know, who you are and how you kind of got into this. So just a quick synopsis, and then we can break that down a little further.
Yeah. Basically, it all started a while ago now. 6 years we've been open. But it actually started before that. I was a professional boxer.
Yep.
Decided to move up to Auckland, take boxing on full time. Did that. Actually was in a couple of gyms and realised that Wellington doesn't have anything like that.
Sure.
At the time that I was up there. So that really drove me to come back home, and it sort of all just snowballed from there. We just got a few good people around me and looked for some spaces. Got a small space in Kilburnie just up the road, and basically in a nutshell, Wellington Boxing Gym became.
Yeah.
Very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Very humble beginnings.
And those are stories that we'll get into soon, because I think, you know, when people see something that's been going for a while and it's at where it's at now, you know, I think everyone misses like that first couple of steps where like it was literally just someone like with an idea who was like coaching at the time and like slowly builds it.
Yep, 100%, man. Like even me, like I forget sometimes where it all started, you know, and it's cool looking back and remembering those times and how fun it was as well. You know, like it started pretty humbly, but it was like at the time that was huge for me as well.
Yeah.
You know, and then now looking at where it is now, it's pretty, like if you said this to me 6 years ago, I probably would have laughed at you, you know, like I would have not believed it at all. So it's been an awesome journey, man. Yeah. Awesome journey.
So just to give everyone a quick insight of where it's kind of come to, just quickly, how many locations do you have, and what's kind of in the very near future?
Cool. So we have our site in Kilburnie, and we have another site out in Lower Hutt. So we're running two sites at the moment, and we have been lucky enough to sign a deal on a lease in town. So we're moving to the city central, which is really exciting for us. And hopefully a few more things in the pipeline for next year as well.
Well, that's awesome. And now, so before that all starts, you know, you actually obviously have to come up in the game. So you were a boxer. That's something that you kind of just mentioned at the beginning. I was a professional boxer. But like, you know, that in itself, you know, there's a lot of people who go from being a practitioner and what they're doing, but don't transition well into the business side, you know, because they were just purely that. So just let's get into that, the boxing side of things, you as the actual athlete.
Yeah, so it started a while ago. I was in and out of the gym, probably about from when I was 17, purely to help me get fit for rugby, which I think that's how a lot of people end up in places like this.
Sure.
And yes, I was in and out of the gym when I was 17, and then I got into my early 20s, decided to give it a go, and I turned amateur. Had a few fights in amateur in between playing rugby, so I wasn't fully committed. I was just basically doing it in the summer, or I'd literally play rugby and then go fight at night, stuff like that. With my good mate Thomas Russell, he did the same stuff, and then I basically kept getting injured in rugby. It stopped me from working quite a bit, you know. So I decided to pack it in and give boxing a proper shot. I turned professional man, I can't even remember what year now. It will show my age. But I ended up turning professional, stayed in Wellington under a couple of coaches here, had my first 4 fights here, and then I decided to make a move. I actually I went up to Auckland under my coach now, Henry Schuster, who's coached the likes of Shane Cameron, David Tua, some big names there, and I did a weekend up there with him, and just to see how it would go for both of us, if he was interested in me, and if it was a fit for me as well. And we, I really it basically turned everything that I've learned upside down, and I had to retrain myself, which was tough. Especially back then, having a little bit of an ego, thinking I'm the man, basically getting pulled all the way down and being like, man, you've got some work to do. So that was cool, and over that time I was going up there every once a month for a couple of days just to learn off him as much as I can. And then he called me one day saying Shane Cameron needs a sparring partner, and I was still only 4 fights in as a professional. I said yes, and ended up going up there, absolutely packing myself. But I went there, and there was some big names in and around that sparring session, which really, I was like, man, I don't feel like I fit in here. But I felt comfortable because obviously my coach was Shane's coach, and he thought that I should be there. So I was a little bit more comfortable with that and having him there. And then that sort of all went well for me, and they kept me on. And then I decided, I was travelling back and forth, doing 4 days a week up there, and sparring him, and then coming back home because I had a family and stuff like that down here, young family. In the short of that, we ended up, me and my partner ended up breaking up. So I decided to give it a full shot, move up to Auckland. So I packed up, drove a bomb-ass car up there. It got there and broke down. And then, my manager at the time was living in there, so I moved in with him. It just all took off from there. And that's how I basically started my professional career.
Oh, that's unreal. And those are the stories, man. When you hear all these sorts of things, when you're going through it, you don't realize how just lucky everything works out. Your car just got you there. You had a place to be able to move into. But then when you look back on it now, you're like, the amount of luck that just for me to make sure that these things happen, it's unreal.
100%, man. 100%. And to even the things that had happened before to even get me there, the breakup with my partner at the time, if that hadn't happened, Wellington Boxing Gym probably wouldn't be here.
So
there was things along the way that sort of just pushed me there to go, even though I was fighting to go, because I was still again pretty young and I was not wanting to leave everyone and all that sort of stuff. But it just I ended up there, and that was a huge reason why Wellington Boxing Gym became Wellington Boxing Gym. That
is cool, and those are the origin stories, and that's why, every time you're thinking, should we even do this? You think all of that legacy, and you're just like, that's exactly why we're doing it. There was one thing that you said that I'm interested to hear more on, and that's the humility side of things. What was it that was driving you to continue going back to Auckland, even though you're getting told that, nah, you're not, you need to get better at this, you need to get better at this, because I know so many people who just think they have it. Once they think their coach is all shit. They're nah, he don't know shit. What was it in you that knew that was something that you had to continue doing?
Man, the things that he was showing me was out the gate. I was like, wow, there's so much more to this game than that I knew. And I was a broken young man. So, when all of this happened, I was basically in the biggest hole of my life. I had no money. I had a big breakup. Stopped playing rugby, drinking way too much, waking up going, what the hell's going on? And boxing gave me something to grab onto. And then having Henry as a coach became like my second dad. even though he was telling me, man, you've got a lot of work to do, there is potential here though.
Sure.
So, you know, I just grabbed onto something, and it was boxing.
Yeah.
And it absolutely has changed my life.
That's
like,
awesome.
it's just like from driving up, basically crying the whole way up, going, what the hell are you doing? You got no money, you're in a bomb of a car.
Yeah.
You don't know anyone in Auckland.
Yeah.
To sitting here now with you.
Yeah.
Is just a massive turnaround.
That is the coolest. Yeah, that's so cool. And I think, you know, that's something that, and now we've got a plane going across the top. Man, it's Wellington hard right now.
100%.
But like having all of that going on and just feeling, like, I think those are the things that give you that gratitude for all of that. And like there are people who, for no reason, like they don't have to give you that, but they like believe in something, or they just like are those people who would be there for anyone and can totally change like the trajectory of someone's life.
Yep. And that's exactly what Henry did. He became a massive father figure to me, believed in me, gave me some awesome tools, changed my mindset, turned me into a man, basically, from a young broken boy, and just helped me grow up, which was awesome. And out of everything, not just the boxing, I owe a lot to him, and just the lessons that I learned.
So cool.
You know, I don't know if he knows that he was doing it. You know, he's a really, really good dude, but he teaches through boxing, and it comes off in your life, as well. Yeah,
there's a lot of the discipline, the routine, all those different things, like very, very micro skills that you don't realize you're picking up, but then it's like, oh damn, I am like quite a disciplined person.
Exactly.
Or I love routine now, and it's because everything that you did was like, stick to this, and then it goes everywhere in life.
It does, man. It does. And I see it in this gym as well. Like it's awesome to see, man.
So before we get into the rest of that, you know, you just dropped in that you were sparring with Shane Cameron. Right. So it's just like, so for those who are listening, most people will know who Shane Cameron is, but the evolution of you sparring with him and getting more and more comfortable in yourself. Did you ever get to a point where you were comfortable, or how did that go?
Oh man, it was nerve-wracking. It was, to be honest, like I said before, I felt like I shouldn't have been there. Yeah. But the only thing that was getting me through was, again, Henry giving me the opportunity. So I believed that he believed in me. Yes. So that really helped me. That's awesome. I would get in there, and definitely there was days where I've gone like, what am I doing, man? Like, I'm getting my ass handed to me by this guy. You know, like, he's way more experienced. He's a solid dude. I'm pretty new, and just getting my ass handed to me, basically. But you know, there were some days that it was okay, and I wanted to be the best me, and I wanted to try to do well as best as I could in the sport. You know, so it kept me turning up, and you know, I met some really cool people, and got some real good connections through that whole thing.
That's unbelievable. And it's something that I think like not a lot of people pay attention to, but just when you're dealing with people who are at the top of their game, and they're like at the international stage, and they're just like at a different level than everyone, you'll be there and you're thinking like, oh man, I'm just getting my ass handed. But then there's small things that you're picking up every time you show up, and you're just like, no one else has ever done this. And then like you come back to teaching like back at your level, or where you thought your level was, and you're just like 100 times better. It was at the same time, it was good timing, because when I first got involved, it was me and Henry hadn't locked things in, and he was unsure about me. I was unsure whether I was going to be able to carry on with him. Right. But then a fight came up with our first with Shane's first fight that I was helping him with. A fight came up for me. They were flying a guy over from America. We fought on Sam Rapira show up in Taranaki. Yeah. And so it was an international show. They flew a couple of Americans over, and Sam asked me if I wanted to fight one of the Americans. Right. At the time, we got told that he was 105 kgs, around the same size as Shane. Yeah. And I was 95 at the time. Okay. They flew in, and I got a phone call from Sam, and he goes, "Oh, he doesn't look 105." Okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, so what is he? And he was 135.
Oh, that big bastard.
And he wasn't a fat 135.
Like, he was solid.
He was a solid 135. So I straight away on the phone to Henry, and he was like, man, it's up to you, but I think you've had a really good camp through this.
Damn.
We've been with Shane, and all these other guys. I'll leave it up to you, but I'll back you if you want to do it. And then again, just hearing that made me believe in myself. So I rung Sam, and I was like, "No, we'll take it." And I knew it was the fight for me that I had to win because I wanted Henry as my coach.
Of course, yeah.
If I had lost, like, I don't know whether I would have had the opportunity to stay with him or not. But we weighed in. It was a big thing because it was like the first international show in Taranaki and things like that. So there was media there and all that sort of stuff. He jumped on the scales, this big ass solid American dude, and then they called me up and everyone laughed.
Right.
Everyone laughed at me.
Damn.
And up until that point, I was nervous and I was like, man, am I like, I hope I am doing the right thing here. This guy's like a bus.
Yeah.
And after that, I jumped on the scales, and we were meant to have dinner and all of that, and it racked me up, man. Yeah. It racked me up, and it switched the switch in me, going, I am gonna. And he ended up saying something because we faced off, and he goes, they don't smile in heaven. I was thinking, don't you mean hell? But anyway, that like the little things just started piling on me, and I just switched the switch, and I was like, nah, man, this guy's gonna freaking get it, man.
Yeah.
And we were meant to do all this stuff. I just left because I was so angry. And then went to the fight, and he didn't come out in the fourth round.
Oh, damn.
I knew I had to survive the first round because he was such a big dude. He basically knocked me out standing up.
Yeah.
He hit me, and he hit me, and I remember just going, oh shit, looking at my shoes. But because he sort of dropped me a little bit, I missed.
So the next one that came through,
yeah, and then I knew, I was like, oh yeah, now like I've got through that round, that would be the hardest one.
Yeah.
And then he just started gassing out, and so that was it was a fun experience, man. Like it teaches you a lot about yourself, this sport, eh? How you handle situations.
Man, because that's the thing, eh? Like I'm similar in the way where I almost need like people doubting me.
Yeah.
And then once I get it, I'm like, yes. Like that's what I needed. But I didn't realize that is how I was. Like a lot of the stuff that I do, not really. It's kind of like revenge. Like remember that time? And I'm just like, I'll show you. Yeah. So like that is kind of cool that you used it in a positive way rather than just like, because you could be so self-destructive.
Oh man, big time.
But you used it as like, nah, this is us.
Yeah, and I've had it the other way too. But that one was just like, nah, man, it's not today. Yeah. So that's basically where I started with Henry, and then we locked in, and then we just went from there. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, that is so cool. And now something that you said about boxing being a sport that teaches you something. Have you noticed, because that would have been at a time where, do you remember, like, I'd say not even 10 years ago, where boxing, well, most combat sports, like, you're a bloody hooligan if you're doing, like, this sort of sport. Yeah. So, and now, it's in a place where it's cool. It's cool to do martial arts. Everyone's knowing the benefits of it. Yeah. But, choosing boxing as your sport, what were the, like, kind of talk around that?
I wasn't brought up around it, but I knew my dad had done a bit. He's actually from England, and he had a quite a solid career in it that he never really talked about. Right. He didn't talk about it, to be honest. And I found a scrapbook of his. Oh, damn. And then, so that made me more interested in it. Sure. And like the old Asher back in the day. Would love, I wouldn't walk away. I would rather stand there. Yeah. And so it had always interested me. And then when I found that scrapbook, I'm pretty sure after that I went to the gym. Right. Yeah. 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 So that's kind of like the thing that was always in you, but then you just like that gave you that extra little we're in there. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely how it all played out. And then plus just wanting to get fitter for rugby, because that was my main thing back in the day. But yeah, I never thought of it it was just something that I wanted to do.
Sure.
As well, and just see if it was in me.
Yeah. And was it one of those things, because like anytime anyone starts, like I know a lot of my friends who have come through here started the fighting thing, and pretty much their entire life they're always thinking of like how they can move, or like just shadow boxing on the spot. Like, did it pretty much, once you got in there,
it takes over. It grabs you, man. You find yourself doing the dishes, and you're like, you're thinking about fights and things like that. So it really takes a hold of you, eh?
Yeah.
For those people that you mentioned, your friends, and that in a way that it takes hold of them, it is healthy, because they do like a 13-week camp, and they're just trying to make the most of their time.
For sure, yeah.
But then obviously you can probably overstep the line with it,
right?
When you're fully immersed in it. A lot of our just bring it back to the gym, our amateurs who are our main fighters, my main thing is trying to slow them down.
Right.
They just get so immersed, and like they just need to rest and slow their body down.
For sure.
Like, it's just they're so deep in it, and they just want to do. You just want to do so well. Yeah. You end up overdoing it.
For sure.
It's just hard to get that balance sometimes. Yeah.
So that's something that we can get into shortly. So we'll actually talk about the gym now. So you said you had a space, and then you saw that there was the need for something like this. Yeah. And what was the kind of the original dream of starting this? Like, was it going to be purely just like we're in here, we're growing fighters, or was it like a fitness space as well? Or so what was the evolution like?
Yeah. So when I was up in Auckland, when I was at Shane Cameron's gym, I don't know if you've been up there.
No.
He's got a awesome facility, man, and it's basically a one-stop shop.
Sure.
It's got the weights, the cardio. Now it's got CrossFit.
Wow.
It's a fully one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So that was the first dream of the future.
Yeah.
Starting up, it was very, very basic, but that was definitely the dream of Wellington Boxing Gym at the start of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then so for you would be like, okay, so eventually we'd get to there, but then just to like get it started, how did that process go on?
It was so I had a manager, Ben Irving, and his company Motif that they were running. He had a business partner, James Bushell. James was helping me with like my financial stuff.
Awesome.
And things like that, and just helping me get a bit more onto it with they put me through a PT course and things like that. So a lot of this has got to do with those two guys as well. I called up James. Ben had moved away. I called up James, and I told him what I was thinking.
Yep.
And he wasn't 100% sold, but he did jump on board, and he started mentoring me.
Ah, nice.
As a business, to learn a bit more about business, and we found a space up the road from here in Kilburnie, 120 square meters.
Yep.
And so we did all the numbers. He taught me like forecasting and all that sort of stuff, and how many members would need and all that. And I was like, man, I'm gonna do it. Whether numbers and that line up, I don't care. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then it just took off from there. We got literally Shane sold his old bags to me.
Yep.
I brought those, got them down. We hung 12 bags up. There was a concrete floor, concrete walls, and I had a desk.
Yeah.
And we just started.
Yeah.
And from there it just grew and grew. I was lucky enough. I got a personal loan. Basically 12 grand, which isn't that much for a startup of a business, but that I didn't have to put any of my personal money into it, because it started paying for itself straight away.
Damn.
Which was pretty unreal. I didn't get paid for 2 years in it, but we were able to get by and things like that. Obviously it helped out with like petrol and little things like that, but it was it was hard at the start. My partner at the time got pregnant as soon as we signed the lease, so we had to make it work. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but it was just such a fun journey, man. Like, since that day, I haven't really felt like I've worked.
That's cool.
That feeling, you know, like I was doing a bit of building and things like that before, and I'd wake up and go, oh man. But I never got that since I started that gym.
For sure. Yeah. And then so I think one of the hardest things, and I've got it in a lot of my CrossFit friends as well, who then became gym owners, but transitioning from, you know, the athlete to, you know, more into the admin, the coaching, all that sort of role. How was that for you?
It's definitely a massive learning, man. Like I will say, like I have come with some massive life lessons, and throughout this whole journey, there's been a little bit of ego, you know, and things like that, which has really set me on my ass, and I've had to do a lot of thinking about it. But yeah, it's like when I first started as a gym owner and a coach, straight away I thought, man, I'm the man coach. Like, like I've got this. And then getting into it, man, I was just a boy. You know, like starting back from like even before when I would have been sparring with Shane, basically, you know, like that's how far I basically was as a coach. But that my mind was thinking, I'm way down here because I own this gym. And I'm running it, and you know, I'm a boxer and all of this, but it's a total different game. It's nothing like you could be an awesome fighter and then not know how to bring it over as a coach.
Of course.
Or, you know, I won't say I was the best boxer out there, but you know, now I definitely think that I outweigh myself more as a coach than a fighter. Just because of my experience now, but. Yeah, it was a really something that I had to bring myself down to earth a few levels.
Awesome.
And then as the business side, the admin, man, and like everyone knows I'm a horrific speller. I'll post things up and read it back and be like, oh my gosh, man, like so like things like that. I wasn't good at, so I really had to try to put my best foot forward. But my partner at the time, Dana, she took a lot of that on and did such an awesome job, man. And like, you know, she brought this gym to a really good space as well. So I was just lucky. Like this wasn't all me, you know. Like a lot of the facing stuff has been me, but I've got so much support behind me. It's unreal, man. Like I'm so lucky to have the team that I do. And not just in the business, but in the boxing and everything that I've been able to far out.
That's going harder.
Just to get me where we are today, it's just been the support network, man.
That is unbelievable. And I think getting it to a point where you can trust it, because that's probably something that is so different from what you've said to what I've heard plenty of times before, is that you actually had like assistance on a lot of the harder stuff going in, where a lot of people they get in and they just get plummeted. Like, oh, you have to like do taxes, you have to do like all of these different things, building consents, all that. But it's like you probably went the like really good road, and you had mentors going in.
I knew that I had to have, because I had to have someone, you know, like helping me, and because it was so new to me. And I did what I was keen to jump in, but I wanted to be able to jump in with a safety net of some sort. You know, so having James there with me and Dana, they were like my safety nets. Who at the time I think were like, fuck, let's go, but at the same time they weren't like in the same belief as me. You know, so it was cool that they both jumped on board and helped my dream come to fruition. I see.
So then you do this, and for how long is it until you start to feel like, okay, this is our thing, we're going to go multi-site now?
Well, we did 2 years at the first site. It started with the bags. We eventually got some mats. We got a ring. We got some fans in there, and we just grew that place up slowly, which was really cool. And then 2 years later, we were getting like 60 people in a space like this.
Wow.
And like it was like 2 classes in a row, back to back.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, we need to go because it's getting too full, and people will turn up here and be like, nah, because it's too much, you know. So we started looking for a space then, and this one came up, which was a perfect space for the next level. It's 200 squares downstairs, so we took over that and moved out of that gym, and then stayed here for another 2. I think, and then an opportunity came up in Lower Hutt, and we thought, man, well, let's just, you know, we did the whole forecasting and all that sort of stuff again, so there was a bit of a safety net there, and we decided to just hit the ground running and move it forward. And you know, it took a while to build that gym. Now it's running itself. It's been able to pay itself, and it's doing quite well. When we first started, the Kilburnie gym was actually paying for that gym, but now it's at a good spot. So it just sparked a little something in me going, far out, that's worked. We've got 2 sites, and now it's actually working. You know, there's other, our plan at the start was keeping it out in the suburbs because we can keep prices at affordable rate. Because that was a big thing from me. Like, you know, I couldn't join gyms back in the day because I couldn't afford it. So I wanted to make sure that we were always affordable, and you know, town just wasn't something that I think that we could go into with our membership pricing. So we just, all of a sudden we were like, all right, we'll just take that out of our minds. We're always wanting to hit after Lower Hutt, Porirua. Because a lot of our members are from Porirua. So they travel, like there's heaps that travel to this one, and there's a few that travel to Lower Hutt. So that was always in the back of our minds. And then we got offered the city site at a way cheaper price than we ever thought that would be in town. So we did obviously the forecast again, and it all worked out. So we locked that in, and we're able to keep our prices at our prices.
So that you can be competitive but also get the clientele that you want. So it's just grown like that, and it's been an unreal journey, man. I'm not the smartest man around. You know, I came with a lot of problems, and to be where we are today, man, it's honestly unbelievable, and it has changed my life in so many ways. That's awesome. And I think it's something that's different from you that I see is that you're actually like involved a lot as well with the members. So a lot of the times, you know, people who end up owning different spots, like a lot of the members have been like, wait, who's the owner? Like they think some of the coaches are the owners or something because they're just like they're always here. But like every time I've been and just popped in or something, like you'll always be around. Like all of the posting, and like people know who you are. So has that always kind of, maybe not an intentional thing, but is that always like kind of who you were and what you wanted to bring in?
Man, I always want to. I enjoy this place, and I enjoy the people around as well. So you know, like it's fun to be here. You know, like we have some good yarns in here, man, and there's some good banter that gets chucked around, you know. So in that sense, it's just fun being here. You know, and I definitely want to be in here as much as possible. Like it is my baby as well, you know. So I want to make sure things are going well, and I like meeting people and having a yarn to them, and then, you know, just teaching them about boxing and things like that. And the only thing is, I do struggle now. Like it's going to be a struggle to spread myself. So far, and I've got, like, you know, I've started up some other things on the side, and I've got two young girls that I want to try to be around for a bit more. So, you know, it's been definitely a juggling act.
For sure.
Yeah.
And going through that, you know, just being able to be here, but then also thinking about, you know, the kind of environment you want to create. And then that's the next part, is actually trusting people. Because, like, I know that if you could, you would coach all the classes, do everything so that you could see everything going. But then to build that trust with different people, how was that process for you?
With our coaches now, I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of them as fighters.
Sure, right.
So they know what sort of stuff that we're big on, and you know, things like that. So it's been a really good. It's been easier in that sense, because I know they've come through the ways that that we sort of deal with. But yeah, there are obviously some other coaches that have come in, and I've just have to been like, oh man, I hope this is the right call, because especially with the fighters in that, I was pretty hard out on technique and what a Wellington Boxing Gym fighter should look like. But now I've definitely learnt to relax a little bit more, and even in my style now, like and pick up other people's and start adding, and you know, things like that. And I think we've got a good team now, and it's really showing, because the gym is thriving, and we're growing, and things like that. And again, that's all to do with the team. You know, we've got a good team. It's not me, it's our team now. For sure. It's a lot bigger than just me.
Yeah. And something that has been really cool that, you know, I've known some of the people coming through now, and you give that opportunity for people to actually get in the ring, which is a lot. Like, that's one of the things that maybe a couple of years ago no one would ever dream of, because there were no opportunities unless you wanted to be a fighter. But now, so what was like? So how did that all kind of start? And then how did you get to a point of like what is the process of people coming in, going through that training camp, and then getting a fight?
So we when we started up 2 years after, we got asked to be a part of IT Heavy Hitters, which is it was a charity event for Mike King's charity. So we jumped on there, and that is basically a 14-week camp, and then at the end of it, it's our gym versus another gym.
Sure.
We sit down, and then we do the matchings to be as fair as possible, and then that's how it all basically started. Was we got that opportunity, and then from there we've just grown it. And now we have our own fight night like that. So we do something called Clash of the Codes, meaning Kilburnie 5022, the area code.
Right, area code,
versus Lower Hutt, 6022 area code in Kilburnie versus Lower Hutt 5010. So we now run that, and that's a 13-week camp. You sign up, and you'll get trained to do all the basics the best you can, get you as fit as possible, and then at the end of that, our coaches sit down and match you up, and then hopefully you're in the mix, and then you get in there and basically slug it away with someone from the other gym. So that's how that's all come about.
And then, so when you're doing that, you know, because it's almost like you're going to be putting someone out there, but it's also you're displaying so much of what you've been taught over the time, but then it's also a huge transformational journey for that person who's
massive.
Putting themselves out there. So, you know, what is over that period, there's probably so many emotions, you're going through a huge roller coaster, just from a coach's perspective. Talk us through that.
So I'm actually not involved with the Clash of the Codes stuff now, because I've got our amateurs that take a lot of the time. So when I was doing IT, that was it's a fun journey, man. Like seeing people with IT heavy hitters as well. These are people who don't usually play sport.
Sure.
They're obviously IT people. You'll get the one or two that have like come from a rugby background or something like that, but a lot of them aren't in the fitness industry or anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
But you see them from day one, and you're just like, literally, I'm going there going, oh, how's this gonna work, man? Like, you know, like this is pretty far fetched. And then just watching them week by week, learning how to throw a jab. Like, you know, at day one they couldn't do anything, and now they're standing properly, throwing a decent jab. You know, like that as a coach, man, is just so fulfilling. And you can see, like, sometimes they'll do it, and then you'll just see their face going, oh, like, I got it. Yeah. You know, and it's just that bit there, like, you're just like, oh man, this is so worth it. Yeah. And then we always make them run and things like that, and seeing their times get faster and things like that, it's such an awesome journey to be a part of, man. And watching them, if they do get through the 13 or 14 weeks, they're a complete different person. Yeah. You know, and they get a taste of what I've tasted on how it changed my life and helped me get here. Yeah. You hear stories with that IT Heavy Hitters one. Obviously, it's a big part of raising money for awareness for mental health. Yeah. So there are people in there that have had struggles. Sure. And you know, we'll get like testimonies at the end of it, not even asking. Yeah. But they'll email me and be like, just so you know, this is what that 13 weeks has done to me. Damn. And it's like getting that, like, if the gym fell over or whatever, man, like those things there mean so much more to me than anything of this whole thing. Like, for sure. Those reading emails like that, man, just absolutely blow me away, and it feels like we've done, you know, we've helped the person in their journey of life, and that is like the win for me. That's so cool. Yeah, because I mean, to be able to dedicate yourself to something like that, but then I think this is the part that everyone misses, is like actually getting in the ring, or like prepping yourself to know that you're gonna go into something, no one can help you, and you're literally gonna be out there trying to fight someone, and which is something that like most people will never ever have to deal with, or will think that they might have to deal with it, but like will never prep for it. So like, is there anything that you can do? So obviously over that time, and it's going to change over the years depending on the person, but like, what are the types of things that you have to say to someone to be like, remember, like, we're prepping you to go to battle? So when I first started, especially IT Heavy Hitters, because it was a charity run thing, and you know, I was all about the journey. You know, which we are still huge on. The journey is a massive part of this whole thing. Getting in the ring and all that is just like the icing on the cake. Sure. But the main thing is definitely the journey. Going through the camp, going through the camp, because it's way harder than the 6 minutes in here. Yeah. But so I was always big on the journey, and like we went to our first IT Heavy Hitters, absolutely got rolled. Right. Like we got hammered, you know. And then after the next one, we brought it to like the last fight, and they won. And then I was like, man, I've got to change something, because it's not working. Yeah. So I made it about the journey, but I drilled in winning. Sure. I drilled in, like, when you go for a run, you've got to beat the person in front of you. Yeah. Like, we've got to get this winning mentality, because at the end of the day, you want your hand raised. Exactly. You're doing something that, the journey is cool, and like you do all that stuff, but in front of your friends and family, we all want our hands raised. You know. So I flipped it a bit and made it competitive within our group, and then just absolutely drilled them. I just drilled them, and then the first year that I did that, we had one already, and it was the halftime break. Oh damn. I think we stopped everyone until, like, it was all stoppages until the halftime break. So we had one, and it just on that little tweak just changed the whole thing, you know. And it's something that I think
training people to win gets a really bad rap because it's like, I think a lot of the time it's like, but they got through it. And it's like, absolutely they did.
Definitely.
Well done.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, everything we do, if you go in with the mindset that you're going to dominate, even if you don't win, you've still done everything that you could have to try and get that W anyway.
Putting your best foot forward, man. I think that's the main thing in what I coach. I do say winning and all this sort of stuff, but if you put your best foot forward and I'm the coach and things like that, man, I couldn't be more proud. Like seeing someone lose but absolutely giving every little bit that they have, man, that like blows me away. Like that really if it's their first fight and things like that, that's definitely not a loss, man. For me personally, I only really learned how to lose probably like my last couple of fights at the end, is because I just wanted to I told myself, if I keep putting my best foot forward, do the camp as best as I can, put my best foot forward in the fight, I got beaten by a better man, like fair play to him. But I've done everything that I can
for sure
to put my best foot forward and win. So I think learning how to lose as well is a big thing in the sport if you actually want to take it somewhere. Because losing can put you in a big hole, which it has done to me. But I think if you're not fearful of losing, you're pretty hard to beat.
Absolutely. No, that's such a cool mindset, but it's a really good way of framing it, because I do think where we are in this place where we want everyone being involved and everyone to participate, which absolutely. But I think having that edge and having something, because then every single person can look at having a win so differently. But that gives them that mentality to just like, I need to go out there and just dominate what I can. It
rolls over into life. And that's another, like, these are emails that we're getting as well. Like the things that we do in here just roll out into their workplace, at home and things like that. So drilling them like that is actually really, really hard, because I can see how hard it is for them as well. But at the same time, I know how much it actually means. And it means a lot to me too. Like these people mean heaps to me. And at the same time, their safety is put into the coach's hands. So we've got to make sure that they're well prepped as well. So it's a wicked journey, man, and as coaches, it's fun to be a part of, and seeing the change and seeing these emails and all that sort of stuff. It's real rewarding. Man.
That would be rewarding, and I mean you are, and you're fundamentally changing someone's entire perspective on their life, because they're going through possibly one of the hardest things they've ever had to put themselves in. But also there's a lot of, as much as people wouldn't believe this, but in a combat sport, there's a lot of reflective time. Because you're like, you're knowing that you're going to go in there, and then you're learning every day whether or not you've got something or not, and you start finding out all the things you don't know how to do. So like, it's such a vulnerable place to be.
It's so vulnerable, man, and the mental side of this sport is crazy. Like it's you've got to come in such a even field with it. Like you've got to have your fitness to a real high standard. You've got to have your basics to a real high standard, and your mental space has to be in a real good place. You get any of those wrong, it's such a big downward spiral. Like if your fitness isn't at a high level, you in there for 30 seconds and you're not in a good place, man. Like it's scary. You're going, I've just emptied my tank. This person is still wailing on me. Like, how is this going to go down, you know? And then if your mental space isn't there, you've already lost the fight before you walked in. You know, so it's and then if you don't have any basic skills, it's just you're pushing stuff uphill so fast. It's that's what makes the sport so interesting as well. There's way more to it. I know people go to these things and say, they're just throwing punches at each other, you know. But there's so much that have led to them to be able to get that far.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah.
And it's even just on that as well. It's like the intricacies of it as well. Like when you get good at something, it doesn't look like it's hard anymore.
Yeah.
So people are just like boring, but like you don't know how hard it was.
Exactly. Like people come in and fall over their feet, you know, and then just to see them being able to move around in there, which to the person who doesn't know much about boxing won't pick that up, you know, but like to a coach sitting there going, "Fuck, he's moving mean," you know, like, and you know where they've come from, you know, like it's awesome to see. But yeah, boxing doesn't get enough credit, and people say this until they've done it. Really, you know, like people will sit there and be, you know, I can do that. That's easy, and then they'll come in and be like, "Holy, there's some technique to this sport, man."
Exactly. Not just everything. That feeling. I know that first like couple of classes that I was doing when you just like hit this hard. And then you're like, you think you're putting everything into it, and you're like, my whole body, my hips are gone. You wake up the next day, your entire body, you're like, does that muscle even exist?
100%, man.
So that's so cool. But then on top of that, you've got your own thing going on with your knee. So we'll just talk about that quickly.
Yeah. So I had a bit of I was prepping for a fight. I was going to come back this year and give it as best nudge as I could. And I ended up playing rugby, getting called in to play rugby. Tore my patella off my shin bone, so I put my kneecap into my thigh. Had surgery for that. My fight fell over. It was 5 weeks out from my fight. I thought I was fit and I could just go play rugby, but you've different fitness whole thing. So that was 3 minutes into the game as well. And then so I had surgery. Was feeling pretty bummed. Came back. I've like had broken noses, broken wrists, stuff like that. Haven't really had a serious injury like this before. So I didn't really treat it as serious as I thought it was. And man, I started getting into box fit classes, doing burpees, things like that. And then 8 weeks after surgery, I hit a curb, fell down, retore this knee, put it back into my thigh, and on the way down I tried to catch myself, put this knee into my thigh, tore the patella there.
No way.
So had to go into surgery. They ended up doing both knees at once. I was bedridden, literally bedridden for a month. It was a massive time of my life that was hard. But again, the values of boxing and all of that sort of stuff really got me through it, and the team that I have behind me, going from being so active and nearly ready and fit for a fight to literally one day waking up, you can't even like get out of your bed, you can't even sit down on a couch. All I could do was stand up or lie down. And I had to get someone to basically lift me into bed and get me out of bed. So it was a massive experience, man. And over that time I was lucky enough to again Dana, me and Dana had separated for a bit, so and then I found a new partner, Anna, which quickly turned things, fast forward things, because I basically moved in with her. We're still pretty new, and it was like, I'm here. Like, you've got to, like, she basically took care of me for a month, like, you know, made me food, like got me in and out of bed, just really, if it wasn't for her, I like at that time I really don't know how it would have gone down, because I had to rely on her so much, that it still blows me away about it, because I complain about these knees so much, man. They're still nowhere to being fixed. I complain to her, like, you know, anyone else, I would say, oh yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah.
But to her, man, she must be sick of it. But you know, she never, like, it's weird. She has never complained or like, you know, said, man, it's getting a bit far-fetched now. So I've been very lucky for her, but yeah, in the long run, it's been a huge journey. That first month, obviously, over that time, because I was at Anna's, I couldn't see my kids as well.
Sure.
So it was, yeah, I would say I did get into some dark places.
Yep.
But I think I was able to stay strong enough as well, like, because of my experiences in boxing. And you know, having Anna with me. So it was, it was a tough month, that, and then just even up until today, I've got, like, there's always pain in my left leg, which can really drain you.
Absolutely.
Especially with things going on. Like, we've started a new business, we've got that new space, we've just run Clash of the Codes. There's so much going on, and like, it's these knees have really put a hindrance on everything. But it's at the same time, it's sort of it's taught me a lot about myself. And the struggles, you know, like, life isn't always, you know, it's never, there's always waves and ups and downs, and that was a big down. But I've come out of this, not yet, but, like, this whole journey, I've actually improved my life. You know, like, we're growing the gym. Business wise, I've got gym cleaners on there. We've just run a successful promotion. So it's, even though, like, I couldn't physically do things, I ended up being that person behind the computer. And tried to train myself in other ways where I could keep moving forward. And it gave me a bit of motivation, which was weird. Like, it gave me some massive motivation, and it's like, coming out of this year now, I'm tired. But, like, the things that I have achieved over that, well, it's not me, that, you know, the team have achieved, the people who support me and all of that, it's absolutely unreal.
That's
like,
cool,
it's so crazy, man. And to do it in such a vulnerable state as well, it's just been, it's been a crazy journey.
It's so weird, how some of the biggest things that happen to us that we think at the time, like, this is the worst thing could possibly happen to me right now. But if you, like, it's like you were talking about before, if you still apply that mentality of, I'm going to win. So just bringing it all the way back every time, then you're just like, well, there's other things I can win at. Like, I don't have to be in there all the time. I can do all these other things and still dominate. To being able to flick it into something that we can make it work for ourselves is a big part, man. And it was weird. I like digging myself out of the trenches. It's it's something that really, I think that drives me even more. Is when I'm at some real low time. It really drives me to get up and get back on the horse. You know. No, there's nothing. I've just thought about all the other times as well where I've, like, there's not much worse I could be right now, and it's like, but that gives me all the momentum to, like, switch it the other way and just go and just do everything.
Exactly, man. Exactly. You can sit there and let it take a hold of you, but, man, like, you can get yourself out of things, man. Just with the right team and support people and mindset, I reckon.
Unreal. And that's a really cool gem to leave it. But I've got one question that I ask everyone on this podcast is, what is something you do every day or close to every day that makes you feel like you've optimized the day?
Ooh, I would have to say waking up early.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. That's I like having as much time as I can. I've learnt time is more precious than anything.
That's awesome.
So I try and make the most time, and waking up early is one of those things that I can get things done, so I can hang out with my girls or things like that, you know. So time and trying to get up early.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's probably a good one. And I think with that, if you know, because you'll know straight away whether you've done it or not, right? Because if you've woken up, it's early. Bam. Done it. Made the most of it.
Yep. Exactly. And I was never a morning person, but starting a business, man, every day now is like 4:30.
Yeah. And just getting in and getting into it. And then just trying to tick things off. So I want to get like the best value of time with my daughters at the moment. So that's a big part of my goals. Beautiful, man. And that's a really good place to leave it. Asher, man, I'll just say, even though we had the rain, we had everything going on, like that just got, I swear I've never heard it that heavy before. But to get it in front of the ring with everything as a backdrop, I think it was well worth it, and I really appreciate the kōrero, bro.
Yeah, same here, man. Thanks for being a part of it, and I love the work you're doing, bro.
Awesome. Appreciate it, brother.